Boom, 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 Babies, Bunt Force Trauma, and Blackjack Arnold. You know that's right. We're giving you a bonus episode, and we're reviewing Psych. This is Gus right about now.
I've heard it both ways.
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 And welcome back to I've Heard It Both Ways. I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. With me, as always, riding shotgun in the Dualberry is my partner in crime, Troll Boy. How's it going?
Troll boy. I love it. It's going great, and I screwed you on the point there. For those of you watching along, I had Joe on the wrong side, and he actually nailed the point.
God damn it. It happens. It happens. Well, we're excited because this week, Billy, the Psych 3 movie dropped, and we're giving it our thoughts. And I gotta tell you, right off the rip, I don't want to tip my hand too much, but meh.
Oh, okay, meh.
And I'll tell
It was very outlandish to the point of complete absurdity. Like, it wasn't as tight as a lot of Psych episodes, and you can kind of see them going down this lane in Psych 2.
So
The movie.
So getting ready for this, I rewatched the first two movies, and I love them both. They're both great, and they're both great for completely different reasons. They're both emotional as hell, but I thought like the first one was the best out of all three of these. Right off the rip, I'll tell you that right off the end. But I love the story in the second one, and like that one got like really emotional, especially at the end with Lassie. And he's walking. And so I didn't know what to expect with this. And especially we knew Lassie was going to be playing a more prominent part in this one. And, you know, what I'll say is that the comedy in this, I mean, there were moments where I laughed, a little legit laughed out loud. Like this was some of the best Sean and Gus tandem that we have gotten, period. The problem with this movie was the story that it revolved around, and I thought it felt forced. I felt it was a bit sloppy, and there was a couple other elements that I wish that they focused on, that they harped on heavy, and then they just completely disregarded.
So for me, I feel you, I hear you, I see you, but I will say I thought the idea of the story brilliant. I loved it. She was Salome. By the way, that's Gus's real life wife.
Is it? Good for Gus.
Yeah, Gus, the little thumb tap on the nose. It's his mating call. He landed her for realsies, and she's brilliant. I love her. I don't think she was used enough, and maybe they filmed it when she was actually pregnant. I don't know. Her face didn't look pregnant. Not to say that, she just didn't look like a head. She just looked like they stuck a baby in her.
That's typically how it happens.
Yeah, pretty much. But I loved the actual idea of it, and I thought the execution was pretty good. I just thought it was a little too, and I like goofy, but I thought it was a little too goofy at points.
So there was a point where I thought this was going to be a giant ruse, where it was going to be Selene sort of sending them on a wild goose chase, knowing that they're like snooping around in her past. And just if you can hear me, Billy, you're muted.
I got you.
Okay. So the problem I had with it, like the premise of it, I liked it. It felt completely out of character, because from what we know of Selene from the first movie and the second movie is 180 degrees different from what we got from her. It seemed for her character to be wildly too far-fetched. And I know that Psych thrives in the far-fetched, but to go from where her character is in the first movie and the second movie, and then this, like, we didn't get Selene, we got Aaron Brockovich, and that's not who her character is.
A little bit, but even like her husband was like crazy. Like he was like goofy, like she was. Like you could see them doing this, but just kind of being like goofy about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And even in the second movie, she was a little more like, she had like possesses the capabilities, I think, to be that kind of character, just carried out goofy, like Sean and Gus do. They solve crimes just goofy.
True, but that's, I don't know. It's just me. Like I just like that wasn't her character to me. And it's not that she's not a strong character. It's not that she's not a smart character. It just like I like the idea. Okay, you're gonna revolve this movie around her and her like the idea of like that divorce needing to get finalized. Like that felt like to me like it would have been a better subplot to a movie versus being the entire movie. And I just felt like that plot, while the premise and the idea of it was like, okay, let's see where this goes. It just didn't like land for me. Like, and then especially how it ended. I don't know. Like that was a little disappointing to me.
Well, in the illustrious words of Woody Strode, I guess we'll just disagree to disagree.
Speaking of Woody, one of my favorite scenes is with
Oh, once
Woodrow.
again, just like he. There's something about his absurdity where he's just like, "No, I just shaved my armpits. I need an hour to bronze." Like that had me laughing out loud. He was on screen for about, I don't know, 90
5 minutes.
seconds. No,
Yeah,
it was just a phone, right?
yeah. Well, but anyways, yeah, it was like real short.
Oh, it was great. I fucking loved it.
And
That was great. And yeah, I mean, well, like the plot, I think on a whole, I think we are on the same page in that it had the right idea. I don't know if it executed it perfectly though.
yeah, and I loved the robe what he was wearing.
Oh, phenomenal.
And what I did love about this movie was that it picks up so close. It wasn't just a completely different story. It kind of picked up, not too far along from where the second movie ended. And I loved that Woody was on trial for impersonating the Doctor
Oh, it was great.
from season 2. Like there was a consequence because we usually don't see like consequences like
Oh
from
no,
like like
we had him. I think in one of the upcoming episodes we'll do where Woody was in some hot water about lifting a watch off
yeah. He's
a
always in hot
cadaver.
water, but like this was awesome. Like because this was just like because I
Oh yeah,
it's like one of those things like, oh, whatever. It's just a guy's being silly. And like, no, he's being, he's being
it
prosecuted
was an
for it.
outpatient surgery, and I undercharged.
Right. And I loved his characters in the second Psych movie.
That was great.
Wearing the little handkerchief around his neck and speaking with the Cuban accent and
Can you
coming
spell
up
that
with
last name? No,
no.
no.
So Woody was great. So real quick, the synopsis here. And our process is going to be same but different. We're gonna, I jotted some notes down us for here, Billy, but we're gonna riff. We're just gonna kind of go back and forth. It's gonna be a cosmic jumbo. It's gonna move to the beat of jazz.
I think
But for
also every time you've said that on this program, you say cosmic jumbo.
oh, I do. Did I say jumbo? Cosmic
Yeah,
gumbo.
I think that's the second time you've done it.
Well, regardless, it will move to the beat of jazz.
It will.
And in preparation for a shotgun wedding before the birth of baby Guster, Sean and Groomzilla Gus go rogue and attempt to track down Salem Hayes' estranged husband, and Lassiter grapples with the future of his career. So, like, the synopsis is a perfect description of what we get. And I would say that the elements, so the Lassie stuff was
I loved it.
it was it was brilliant. It was heartbreaking. And he provided some humor, which was great. And the Groomzilla Gus
What
was
a word, too, by the way. What a word.
yeah. So speaking of the origin of that word, at least in particular to this episode, let's go to the standout guest star who I thought was the character that stole the show, Kurt Smith.
Oh, Kurt Smith's always stealing the show. He was great when he calls him, and what is it, $35 seals the deal, and he's going
Yeah,
to be a part of the new Wham without the H and the exclamation point.
Wham.
Wham. Well, that's his version of it.
Right.
That's his
So
version of it.
that's right. Because that whole thing was great because Gus is just like he is full on Groomzilla.
Which, honestly, though, I've never, ever heard that used.
well, yeah, why would it? We don't give a
But
shit.
no, it's a good trope. Like in New Girl, Winnie the Bish becomes like a bridesmaid and kind of goes all
Yeah.
crazy. But like you never like they could have used like and he planned his engagement like Gus would plan his engagement type style stuff. But I like that's like an easy comedy trope like you could kind of stumble on, and they might have been the first. Like it might have happened in something else, but I thought it was brilliant. Also,
Yeah.
quick aside, the things I did in the cold open were the two places that they named when they went to. Boom 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 Babies is where they got the
Oh,
fucking
that's right.
exploding thing,
That's
which
right.
is Boom 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 Muffins, which I thought was like when I saw that I was like, wait a fucking second. And they always do like the lock stock and two toasted bagels. They always mix
Yeah.
in like a Java cup. They
Oh,
always
yeah.
mix in a really good one of those. And the places where they were tasting cakes was Bunt, like the cake,
Yeah.
Bunt Force Trauma. I loved it.
Oh, see,
Fucking
that's the
loved
shit
it.
I didn't notice. So, I mean, that's the stuff Psych's great at, right?
Mhm.
Is those little sight gags and those little things. And speaking of the open, I loved the Marvel style open
Oh, it was
that we
hilarious.
got, right?
Yeah.
Just just perfect. But yeah, going back to Kurt Smith for a moment there, it was great because Gus is in full Groomzilla mode, and I gotta call the wedding band, and then it's Kurt Smith, and like it was like warning, Bert and Gus are calling,
Mhm.
warning, Bert and Gus are calling. And he's like, it's 35 times you've called me, mate, and then like you said, Gus goes, well, $35, well, an extra $35 seal the deal. He goes,
Yeah.
actually, yes, it will,
Yep.
you know, which was
Lock it
which
in.
was great. I love them just sort of painting Kurt Smith as sort of like this desperate but yet like yearning for the old days, kind of
And
rock star.
is Roland Orsabo like no longer alive? Like, why hasn't he been on the show? They got fucking
Yeah,
Val Kilmer.
he probably needs an extra $40, right? He probably doesn't get off the couch for at least fucking, you know, 2 mil. That's his quote.
No, he's yeah.
That's his rate.
Yeah, that's his rate. Now he's alive. I mean, that's a like. Yeah, come on, and he was the first one they mentioned too.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know why. Maybe we'll get him in Psych 4.
I will say, and we've talked about the finale 100 times probably, but it is one of the most well done finales ever. And the fact that they got fucking Val Kilmer to play Dobson,
Yeah.
he's gonna make an appearance in one of these movies as Dobson. I would lose my shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, as rough as Lassie, go he's having with it. That would be real tough. Pulling. I don't know if you've seen Val Kilmer lately.
Oh,
Heard
is
Val
he
Kilmer
going
lately.
down too?
Well, yeah. So he, I think he talks through
Oh
a
no
voice
way,
box.
really?
Yeah, he's in rough shape.
Oh,
He's in rough
okay.
shape. So I don't
Oh, he
think,
is. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think they'd be pulling in Val. But yeah. Speaking of Lassie, like it was it was sad, but not in like you feel bad for him kind of way. It was just like,
He seemed pretty like his acting in the second one. You could clearly see it was very dependent upon. And they wrote it into he had a stroke.
right.
In this one, and we talk about his acting all the time. I think he is one of the best TV actors ever. Like I think he's phenomenal. If you saw the stuff he did in that musical that he was into, like he is just a uber talented man. And he was able, especially in the scene on the porch,
Ugh,
to get that lassie back, even not at full capacity. And what I really liked about that scene is you could tell they were playing with real life there. Like you could
yeah.
tell, like they were, like when they were like, well, he may have plateaued, he may be here. Like I
Yeah.
think they're dealing with real things that are happening to him, and for him to be able to do that, I mean, I was tearing up.
Yeah, I mean, it was remarkable, and when I say sad, I don't say it in a way that I don't mean it in a way that's like, oh, you feel bad for me, but it was
Yeah.
just sad because it was so emotional. You could tell it was real. I think every single line that he delivered came from a real place. In the beginning
Mhm.
when they're driving in the Dualberry, and he asks Sean, "Can I sit in the driver's seat?" Just to have that moment, like even though like Sean's really driving it from the
Mhm.
passenger side, for him just to have that moment of like having his hands on the steering wheel, being in a seat that he loves. Old Lassie
Oh yeah.
loves his car,
Oh
loves
yeah.
driving around, right? And the scene with Henry on the porch and with his daughter, and the scene, with him trying to quip it up with Sean, and telling him to suck it and all that stuff. Like it was great, and you can see that he's still having a hard time in his recovery. It
Mhm.
might not ever get to where he's back to normal Lassie, or Timothy Ombudsman is, but for him to get out there and do it,
I'd
and
say on the
it was
porch scene,
tremendous.
that was a high level. Like that was high level acting.
Yeah,
He was great,
yeah,
and like not even relative to what he's been through. That was just he was captivating in that scene. And
Yeah,
I think everybody probably, like, he had to be the best actor on set. So, they're
yeah,
all looking to him throughout the course of the 8 seasons, the musical,
yeah.
for advice. So, like, you could tell everybody loves him and is connected to him. So,
Oh, they adore him and
yeah.
admire the hell out of
Mhm.
him, and you get that every scene. Again, Harper, it might be the best. It might be like the best overall scene in the movie.
Oh, it
Is
is.
that scene with Henry and
Mhm.
Lassie on the porch, and it's when Psyche gets real, like they evoke strong
Yep.
emotions out of you,
Mhm.
right? Like you
Well,
said,
you
you
have the
teared up.
character.
I damn near teared up as well.
Yeah, you have the character equity built in with all of these people. So it was great. And even though they're stepping on our funk, we're obviously going to listen to the Psych podcast because we're going to take out every nugget that we can possibly get. So,
Yeah, we'll have to add an addition to our show. I've heard it both ways, where we recap their show.
what I was going to say is that's the continuation of the podcast
Yeah,
where
right.
we review their review.
That's right. Oh man. So yeah, there was a lot going on. As my voice is cracking many times tonight. Friday night, it's a long night. Long day.
Friday night, thinking that we just. No, but continue.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought there. You were serenading me, but like overall, like again, as much difficulty or not difficulty, but it was like as disappointed as I was sort of with the main story, like everything around it was just so superior that like it really raised it up. Like I was talking with Megan, Megan didn't like it at all, and I found that surprising. And because the moments where I laughed, I really fucking laughed, and
I
we'll
mean,
we'll we'll dive
yeah,
into some of the moments in a
it
second.
was just like two, as we say on PC, it was 211. Like they took everything they've ever
Yeah,
done and
yeah,
took it to the next level. I think even in the second movie, you kind of knew you were in for this. The first movie was like perfect. It was
yes,
a perfect encapsulation of what Psych is, nailed everything, great storyline, great characters, everything worked. And then in the second one, the moment where they literally broke the fourth wall, and this was like from here on out, it's kind of going to be riffing. It's going to
yeah,
be absurdity, was when they went when Gus questioned the first nickname, and he was like, "You know what? We have fans. We have an audience. We have people to appease. That's
yes,
what we
yes.
do." And he was like, "We're two idiots." And then from there on out, like some of the stuff, like, and that's why I love Psych, and we talk about it all the time. It's outlandish, but it's based so well that you kind of just like, this is the world I'm in, and it's like status quo. It's not like raising like this stuff was crazy, and
Yeah.
I didn't mind it because like I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah, I mean, I laughed my ass off, but they did play the hits one too many times. They
Mhm.
went back to the well. Like I wrote down a shit ton of Gus nicknames, and that's probably only half.
Oh yeah,
The
it was
the
great.
Gus don't be were a ton, and then
Oh,
even
I
Gus
love
was
that.
given right. So like, I mean, I laughed every goddamn time, but like, yeah, I did notice that like they were just like, "Hello, Cleveland,"
That's
and
fine.
playing the
It's
hits, but
fine. They're
I
old.
I,
They,
I
they got to
laughed my
do it.
ass off.
Well, I think one of the Gus don't be it was Gus don't be the night your dad entered your mom or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, and it was awful and it was out of place, but it fucking slayed me. It
Yeah.
slayed me.
One of my favorites was let's see, I wrote it down here because I didn't want to forget it. It was "Don't be all the chalices that Indy didn't choose at the end of the
Yeah,
Last Crusade."
it's
You
fucking great.
know. So I wrote down just a list of memorable moments here because I figured I'd be able to just name it and then we could just sort of
Mm,
riff off. All right. So we already sort of discussed the Marvel opening
mm,
and the dual berry, which we actually got in the second Psych movie. But Gus, I wrote down Gus picking out napkin rings, but sort of Gus just being a groomzilla,
mm.
period, was fucking hysterical.
I was one of like it was one of the threads of the movie that they held really well. The little montage scene was awesome. They hit like they always do those. It's like the and they get better and better as they do it. The food tasting with the
Yeah,
uncle
yeah, yeah.
who knows
Yep.
about Manimal.
Yep.
And the meat is murder, but meat is murder, but murder is also murder. Like they do that stuff really, really well. and I don't think I see it on your list, and it's probably skipping out ahead here. But the fact that Sean looks exactly like Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I have him as incognito Sean and Gus.
Okay,
Yeah.
that fucking slayed me because he does. He looks and Rob Zombie, like him and DMX, are the two best live performers I've ever seen, and he looks exactly like him. And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't know either. I don't know what I'm going to do with this information now, but here it is," or something to that effect. And it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was because they were going trying to get into Selene's old apartment, and I loved like the landlord, like the old Chinese landlord lady. She was fucking hysterical. And so then they come back, it's incognito, and this whole section actually really had me going because holy shit, like because Megan and I both went, he really does look like fucking Rob Zombie.
Exactly,
Like
he looks exactly like him.
He was a dead fucking ringer. Maybe throw some more wrinkles on him and like an absolute dead ringer. And I have no idea who the hell Gus was supposed to be.
No,
but his
the Sanford and Son thing fucking killed me because that's who he looked like.
Yeah, and the guy was like, "Can you make him say, did I do?" Because Gus is holding a ventriloquist dummy, and Sean goes, "Just make him say, did I do that? We can move on." And he's like, "I will not stoop to that level."
No, I will not. It's something to the effect of, "I will not compromise the integrity of the puppet."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I will not." Yeah. And that fucking, because like that, like there was so many things in this, and I always say, like, with the stroke of a pen, this could have been a perfect movie. But I think they just go for like gags and having a good time because I think they just do this for fun. Yeah. So they're just, riffing, I think, most of the time. And I could tell half of this stuff that they're doing is ad-libbed. Like, and it's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, because, I mean, they can't be getting paid a ton to do this, right? It's got to be for fun. I think it's got to be for
I don't know. I think this is like the head banner on Peacock. This Psych's a pretty big, like, and the other thing, too.
Yeah, but the cock sucks,
it does. And, like, they even went at it in the movie where they were like, "So you're an actress. Are you in anything we know?" "I'm on Peacock."
Yeah.
It's made up. No, it's not a real thing.
Oh, what else did they mention? I think they mentioned USA Network.
Yeah. Like, I haven't watched it since 2014, or then the last two episodes of Suits. They also snuck in a. So, did you think Meghan Markle invited everyone to the royal wedding from Suits? And he's like, "I know for a fact she didn't."
I missed that part. Oh man, that's great. What else? So we learned another awesome piece of information about Selene. What's her last name, baby?
Oh, what is her last name? Did you write it down here?
Gilmore.
Selene Gilmore. Yeah. I didn't even pick up on it. I just think of you as Doc.
Yeah. So Meg goes, look at her last name, Selene Gilmore. And then who was it that said, like Gilmore Girls? It's like, fuck.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so that's your life, though.
Yep. That's so for a long part for a while, especially like middle school and into high school, it was Happy. People fucking calling me Happy because that Happy Gilmore. I mean, I love the movie, but I've done anything but Happy.
Dude, I had to deal with Oh Billy from the Cable Guy for years.
Yeah.
People just picking up their shirt, touching their nipple, and going, "Oh Billy." And it wasn't women, so it wasn't attractive.
Yeah, just hairy nips all over the place. But going back to Incognito, Sean and Gus, or Rob Zombie in Sanford and Son, we got epic slow walk. I was in fucking stitches.
I mean, it's a great gag, and I didn't realize how close we were to the actual audience. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and then Gus Jimmy opened the lock
with the hand of the puppet.
Well, they do the camera shot from behind.
No. Yeah, when he's humping the lock at the guy's house. Yeah.
Like, "I'm trying to be inconspicuous, Sean."
That is the exact opposite of what you're being. And then he goes to do the pound. He's like, "Don't get that thing away from me."
Yeah. Oh, and then towards the end there, when we got, Megan was actually dying too when Sean was delivering the baby, and then like they're in the safe room, and then by the way, folks, I mean, like, if you're listening to this, hopefully you've seen the movie because we're just spoiling the fuck out of this thing. And
I mean, at this point,
proper warning, yeah, who cares? But like he's delivering the baby, and then the paramedics come in, and Jules comes in, and Sean's looking at his hand. He's got like just goop all over his hand, and the face he makes.
Yeah, so again, this is a demonstration of like if it was the old Psych, it would have happened for about 30 seconds where Sean would have went catatonic. But
Yeah,
this time he's just catatonic. That whole last scene, once they break through the door, is just chaos.
it's chaos and it's fucking hysterical
Yeah.
because I'm gonna tell you, it is gross,
Hmm?
right? The babies love them; they're great, but that whole process,
Yeah, they're
oh
squishy.
yeah, and he's just got his hands out and it's just dripping, and
Hmm?
and then like he's standing there with Gus, and then they kind of like they do like a knuckle touch, and then Gus has some goop on him, and he's just like, yeah, so like. That had to be in stitches. And then we got another guest star. We had Father Wesley make a return.
Oh, I didn't like that. See, to me, this was the too much over the top where he kept going into the one um going into exorcism. I was like, okay, that's funny. And then they went back to it in the comedy rule of threes, and it's like, yeah, you probably need to do that.
I think they went back to it more than three. Yeah,
It
like
might have been like, yeah, six.
yeah, they went back to it like once, maybe twice. But I just loved that he was there because
Yeah.
I love those episodes with Father Wesley, and I thought that was cool. They brought him back.
By the way, him and Woody haven't aged a day.
No, they really haven't.
Not a day. Like Father Wesley looks better than the first fucking episode he was in.
I was gonna say
And
Father
Woody
Wesley
looks
probably Botoxes, you know?
probably. And Woody looks the same.
Yeah.
He looks the same from the first episode he was in to this day.
Woody hasn't aged since the mid '90s.
He hasn't.
You know?
Yeah, he looks the same as he did
looks
in
like the
Wayne's World.
exact same. Yeah, exactly. Like maybe he's a little thinner. I don't know, but like he's identical. Like there's no like he's the most recognizable face. You know, it's just
Ah.
Woody Strode. And so and yeah, Father Wesley. Now I kind of want to go back and watch
Dual Spires.
Dual Spires and the other one there that he's in.
Oh, The Exorcist.
Yeah. But he's great, and he was actually in Twin Peaks.
Yes.
That's where most of those characters were in Twin Peaks. That was I always love it when they do that, and so that was I enjoyed Father Wesley, and then what the fuck? This is more of a what the fuck was that goddamn music video at the end?
You know what? I hated it. It was awkward, made me feel uncomfortable. But Gus with the blonde hair, I was like, I hate this, but that's funny. Every time I saw Gus, it was funny.
I mean, I get what they were trying to do, I guess, but like, I'm like, what?
Swing and a miss. It stunk.
What am I watching here?
It was
But
super
Gus
awkward.
with the blonde hair, and oh, I did like Henry.
Henry looked pretty good.
Henry finally had some good hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they put him in a good wig.
Sean looked good. They put too much red on his face, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like, what the, and then with Kurt Smith, like the point where I felt uncomfortable.
The ice cream sandwich.
Smith, yeah, with the he's licking the ice cream sandwich.
No
like,
need.
No
need.
No, I'm good on this. I'm good.
But you know what? To me, that's just like, all right. They don't like. They're just fucking having a good time. Like they didn't give a one F. Like they did not care.
Yeah, no, yeah, they were just like, yeah, we're gonna do it, and they did it, and there it was.
I edit videos for a living, and I shoot videos for a living. That took days, if not like a full day, like 2 days, maybe 3 days to film just that.
They really believed in it. They must have, because
no, I
why
think they were
else
just
would
like, fuck it, we're just gonna do it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, fuck, yeah. Like you said, swing and a miss. Really kind of, like you said, creep me out. Do you have any other moments that stood out to you?
I love the montage. I did like the ending scene. I thought that was pretty good. I thought the double reveal of Salinay's story where they were cutting back and forth to tell it was a nice effect. Like those are like good Psych things. I thought the, going to the house to interrogate what they thought was the sister. I was disappointed we didn't get a second movie, Bumble with the Bee, when him and Gus rumbled in the bathroom, which went on for way too long, but I liked
way too long, and that was a bit over the top. And I wouldn't say that was the point where the main story started to lose me a little bit, but like they needed to.
Oh no, that's exactly where it lost me.
yeah, they needed to cut that down a smidge. Just a touch.
Like you could probably relate to this a little bit more, because at this point, my nieces and nephew aren't adorable enough to do this. Maybe my 10-year-old niece, but it's almost now like I'm watching my kids do something, like perform in front of me, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. Like I'll take it. Like go on a little long, take the joke too far, doesn't exactly make sense, or it's not funny, and I'm like, yeah, these
Yeah.
are the people I love,
Yeah, right.
and it's still awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because where did that scene jump the shark? It started off great with Sean doing the fucking
Oh yeah, that
forensic
was
file
great.
stuff,
Mhm.
and then it jumped the shark with Gus climbing the pole on top of the stalls. Because
I
Gus
did
is
love this. Like you're right, that's exactly the moment because I love this. Like Sean just sliding through the stalls.
yeah, which made me want to vomit just a little bit
Oh,
because
I
that's
instantly I thought that's
yeah.
disgusting, but I did like it because again, I've never really seen anything that. And if it just ended with Sean falling from the pipe, perfect scene.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
went
Oh
on
yeah,
for
it was
another
Sean on the pipe, yeah.
9 minutes.
Yeah, and then with the so with that, maybe let's talk about a few of the things that we didn't like so well.
Hmm.
And like I said, the whole to me the Selenay story, it just didn't fit. Like
That's a you
to me,
problem.
that is a me problem because I was like, okay, when did Selenay become Aaron Brockovich? That's exactly what I wrote down. It's like that's what this is like because like they, there's a way they could have done this that I think maybe would have played a little bit better. I don't have an example off the top of my head, but like the fact that there's two random people doing there for two different purposes, and that like I don't know. It felt a little forced, and then I think they could have just done something better with her and the divorce. Needing to get the divorce, like I said, that would have been the perfect side story to what would have been the main movie, right?
But what's the main movie?
I don't know. It could have been anything better than this.
See,
Like it just wasn't it for me.
and I'll call you on the carpet here. I don't embrace problems, Joe. I embrace solutions.
Yeah, you sound like my father-in-law.
So for me, if you're gonna bring up the criticism, you gotta be like, well, it could have done this. And I think this, like, if I'm looking at this head on, it's like, okay, I thought for what it was, it's a good angle in, like, she's not who she says she is. The whole sister mislead was like, all right, well, what the fuck is she actually up to?
Well,
That
that was
was, that
interesting.
piqued my
That
interest.
like at one point at that point I said we've got a great mystery here. Like that's what I
Hmm?
wrote in my notes. And then, like I said, I don't know. I just it went a little too fast, if that makes sense. Like as they're uncovering everything, like when they get to the quote unquote sister's house, and then we find out like she pays her
Hmm?
to like okay, like they're cooking with gas there, and then like when they get to the ex-husband or the husband's house or whatever, and he gives the explanation, and he's like, you could have given me something better than that. They could have either made Selenay's character more badass, by giving her a better backstory there, or how they met, or how they got into that situation in the first place. Like it seemed too random and too convenient, and I don't know. I didn't buy it. That's all. Like it just didn't work for me. And then how it ended, like so quickly, and then like you get there, and that was the other thing too. Like, okay, they're after this guy. He's bad. He's smuggling drugs. He's smuggling weapons. We never actually see him. You never actually get any like. I don't
Well,
know.
he's
Like,
not the bad guy.
well, but he is in the
No, the
sense that
boy,
that's
the
what.
husband's the bad guy. Her husband was the bad guy.
So maybe I missed that at the end because
Yeah, he was going to kill Gus and
well,
Sean.
yeah, I know he was going to kill Gus and Sean, but he was there to kill that guy, right? Like,
No, 100%. But that's still like he was doing
right.
it
So
to
that's
free
my
himself.
point. They could have sold, that guy a little bit more. Like they could have like that's the
I don't
thing.
think
Like,
they needed to because what the former husband, I forget his name, was trying to do in totality was frame Gus for the murder so he could be with Salome. That was his plan, was to set them up
right,
for the
but that
murder
was that
of
was
this guy.
only his plan until they kind of came into contact with each other.
Well, yeah, because he saw his opportunity
Right.
to do it.
But so what I'm saying though is like, what brought Selenay and her husband together in the first place was how bad how bad of a guy this was that they were investigating, right? So maybe give us, maybe cut back on some of the Groomzilla or cut back on something and like give us a cold open of this guy doing something. Like present it more like a Psych episode where that guy is actually doing something, you know, and have it pertain to Salome and her husband, and then you have everything else unfold, and maybe it's a little bit better. Maybe I buy it a little bit, but
Hmm?
because he's just sort of this abstract character that's just floating in the background in the ether, you know nothing about him, just that these two people were investigating. That's what brought them together. To me, like there was a better way to really, you could have kept this same story, and maybe there was just a better way to keep it more like a traditional Psych episode,
Hmm?
and then just have it extend over, like instead of being 50 minutes, 90 or whatever, and but give us a little bit more to why that guy was so bad that it brought that it brought these two characters together, and give us a little bit more backstory on Selene, because really all it was okay, she's married to someone, they don't there's something fishy going on here, and there was a lot of that, and so like there just wasn't enough meat on the bone, and I had a hard time really sinking my teeth into it to really hammer the food metaphor there.
Fair. I hear you. I feel you, son. To quote Gus's dad, I just think for what it was, I was okay with it because I do see your beef here because they are still trying to be Psych in certain ways. Like they did have I thought it was a good idea. I thought some of the execution was done really well, but then at certain points it's just like they're like the Lassie stuff again, based in reality, really good stuff, building a story, and then like the other half is just grab ass.
Yeah.
So I think they didn't set out to make an airtight movie. They set out to just mess around and have it tied a little bit in reality. So I see where your beef is. Is like they had some either go one way, total offshoot, crazy, or based in reality, and they kind of did both. And I agree, the whole story didn't come together for me either. But I just can't see another way to do it.
Well, I think
Your facts of build up a little different things are valid. That could have worked.
because if they were gonna, because to me, like with it being so off the walls and offbeat as it
Mhm.
was, then I think that the angle that Megan thought they were taking, I think would have fit the tone better. Is if this was just a giant setup for Selene, right? To have Gus and Sean go on this wild goose chase, think they're blah blah blah, and then have it be some sort of like setup to get Gus at a certain location and have the wedding, that he's been, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if you're gonna go that wacky with it, then do something wacky like that, right? And I think that might have played a little bit better. But like what
That's
made
not
the
bad.
first what made the first movie so good was that it was your classic Psych episode done to perfection, and we had it spread out over 90 minutes or however long it was.
Yeah, but that can only be done once because they went back into the well and get the perfect character that you weren't expecting to be the villain.
Right.
So you can't dip into that twice.
Well, no, but you could follow the same formula.
Yeah, but
Like
I think
have a good crime
Mhm.
and have a good story built around it and good comedy and hit the tropes, but like just give me a longer Psych episode. That's you know, I guess they realized that no, we don't want to just do another Psych episode. We're just going to go do this extravaganza, but like I don't know, they nailed the tone and tempo and everything so perfectly in the first one.
Mhm.
The second one, again, was a little bit more offbeat, but there was still like it still felt like a Psych episode. This just felt like our Psych friends, the people we know and love, just being
Putting on
banana
improv.
land crazy, and it was still very enjoyable. Don't get me wrong; like I did not hate this movie. It just like that one aspect of it I felt was a letdown.
Fair, totally fair. For me, I would say if because I enjoyed the story. If they'd cut down on the grab ass a little bit, just a little bit. of the scenes going on a little bit too long, but I don't think that's what they're here for anymore. I think
Yeah.
they're just here to do what they want to do and make what they want to make. And
And while I love the Chief Vic stuff, they
hmm,
could have gotten rid of that. They could have cut that. You know what I mean? Like
I kind of
it.
like that.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. Those scenes were great, and at one point I'm thinking, oh, they're setting up. Let's just gonna like Chief Vic's gonna retire.
Hmm.
Like we're gonna get that announcement. We didn't get it, and I guess that was part of my other beef. Was I felt like they were playing certain things up, and then they just didn't follow through. Like the Chief Vic stuff. Like if they're gonna make another Psych movie or not. Like if this
Oh,
is
they're
their
gonna.
last movie, I know they're gonna. But like if this is like they were setting it up as if Chief Vic is gonna plan her or announce her retirement, sort of thing. And like, because you get all of that emotional buildup from her, and especially when they show up to the campsite and she's got the machete,
Hmm?
in her hand, she's talking about how her family left, and like that again, like this was a really emotional. This is the by far the most emotional one movie we got, and I thought the second one really hit
Tugged
you,
at the
tugged
heartstrings.
exactly. And so they just I don't know, they left that sort of thread just sort of dangling there. And then the other one was the Sean and Jules baby stuff, where they're really hammering it like they don't want kids, but maybe there's still a chance. Maybe like there's a way of coming around. And when Sean's delivering that baby, and you think that maybe like you're gonna get this moment where like they do want to have a kid, like
I thought we were gonna see the shot of Sean looking at Juliet, admiring the baby, and like him being like, "Hmm."
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I thought there was a perfect opportunity to do that. And it's like, because they had harped on it so much leading
Hmm?
up to that about like, the stuff with Henry and the crib and the Sean and Jules sort of having this awkward conversation and Sean sort of being like, well, if you want to have a kid, we can really like
Spoiler
visit.
alert: that's the fourth movie.
It's got to be, right.
Hmm?
It's got to be. So like those are just like a couple of threads like I felt like they harped on, then they just sort of left dangling there a little bit. They didn't really wrap it up, as tightly as they normally wrap things up, and that was sort of my only other issue.
No, I agree. But to me, once it got to the point of the bathroom scene, I was just like, "All right, it's catch as catch can right now.
Yeah, true.
I'm just along for the ride." And I agree with you. I hear you, son. I hear you. To me, I enjoyed the setup. So I mean,
Yeah,
we've hammered this enough at this point.
yeah. So who's your favorite character, Billy?
uh, in this movie or in general? No, I'm
In
just
this
kidding.
movie? Yeah.
I was gonna say Jeff Winger, Community. No, it would probably be Sean Spencer in this episode, in this movie, and overall. It's either him or Gus. It's tough. It's tough. I will probably give it to. I think you got to go Gus.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same. I
I
love
mean,
Sean.
this is Gus.
Sean's my favorite character, but the Groomzilla stuff, the ventriloquist stuff, like
Ah,
I mean, he was so over the top too, like especially with the gender reveal box.
even the burrito or the quesadilla or whatever the fuck he was ordering.
Yeah, just he was. Gus was at an 11. We very rarely see Gus at an 11 all
Hmm?
episode long or all, right? And he was at an 11 start to finish. And I mean, it's named after him. I don't know how I feel about Gus with facial hair.
I liked it. I liked it good.
And they gave him a little bit of a high top fade.
Hmm?
So like, yeah, I mean, Sean was stellar. Gus, I mean, has got to be Gus. I thought for a hot second about giving it to Woody just for that 90 seconds or however long it was on.
I mean, that's all I give it to anybody for. So I
right.
mean,
But boom, Billy. What were some of your favorite quotes?
oh, I mean, you have
I
like
mean, there was a ton.
there was so many. The you flame suck it. I fucking died.
Yeah, flame suck it. You suck it. You suck it. You flame suck it. And then you've got like you see fucking Lassie with the earpiece on. He goes, "You suck it," and he's talking to the reporters and all them because they're arresting someone. Like, oh, that had me in fucking stitches. And I don't know what the mongoose killed the snake is, but they sang that for a few seconds there.
Mhm.
That had me stitching in stitches. And So we were just talking about Sean and Jules about having kids, and Sean just goes to Jules. He goes, "But what if the kid is awful or obsessed with crafts?" And I just looked at Megan like, "Swaggins is obsessed with crafts."
That's great.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I sprayed you with a chiss. Cheers. And this might be maybe the best line. Was when they're in that bathroom, when they're having that scene in the bathroom there that we harped on a bit, where he says, "We'll be stealthy like jackals, unless your jackal switch is broken."
My jackal switch is never broke.
And the fucking look that Gus gives Sean there is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it did its job. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of knew from Psych 2 they were kind of off the beaten path here. And, the nicknames are great. I already mentioned my Gus, don't be the night your dad, slid into your mom or whatever. Like, that one fucking slayed me. So there was a lot of those. He even picks up a pineapple at one point and goes, "Should I?" No, never mind.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they were just going, like, super to the well. Like,
Oh,
they went to
yeah.
the well 10 too many times in this one.
Yeah. Hello, Cleveland. Yeah, because I think so. This sort of leads me to the running gags here with the pineapple. So they're at Henry's new house, and that's where Sean pulls out the pineapple.
Mhm.
So I have a question, and maybe this was explained in one of the movies or somewhere along the line, and I just fucking forgot it.
Mhm.
But where did fucking Henry get all this goddamn cake? Did you see that house he's living in on the
Well,
beach?
he sold the Lassiters the house for like 30 more thousand than they were he had it sold for or whatever.
Yeah, because Lassie's living in his old house.
I mean, cops, if you retire with a full pension, and his house is probably paid off for, I don't know, decades.
Yeah, but they're in Santa Barbara. That shit ain't cheap, man. That's waterfront property.
That's true.
Like that had to cost some cake. But
Well, maybe he's doing some woodworking on the side.
yeah, maybe. Well, he was doing some woodworking.
Mhm.
He's making a wooden woman.
See?
But going to the Henry Father of the Year moment, there was two of them for me. There was one, at the house,
Mhm.
and he revealed to Sean, he was like, I was, because I love the idea that, he was still operating under the premise that Jules was pregnant,
Mhm.
even though like he must have seen Jules within that 9 months, could have
Mhm.
seen that she was pregnant or not, but he was he had been operating under the premise that Jules was pregnant, so he started making them a crib,
Mhm.
and then he put it together, and that it was that it was Gus's. But I thought that was a sweet moment, and then him and Lassie, we talked about this to start the show, just how awesome of a scene that was, and how honest
Mhm.
of a scene that was between those two. Couple other Gus nicknames I had here. Bird in the hand bush,
Oh, that's so good.
which is just bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Like, I love that one. So that might be one of my new favorite Gus
Fernando
nicknames.
Handbush.
Bird in the hand bush.
And it opens up so many other nicknames.
Yeah,
Because you just take a saying and make like the first part of it the first name and then the last word the last name.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to start working that into my repertoire. There was Burton Gusto Rodriguez,
It's always been there.
Blackjack Arnold,
So good.
right? And I know there was a couple others.
Oh, there was 100 at one point. He just was rattling them off.
Yeah. And then there was a ton of obscure references. I didn't write them down, but like this was like, again, you take you take the best Psych episode that's jam packed with quips and references, and you just crank it to 11, and that's what this was. So, if I were to rank the movies, I would go 1, 2, 3. I'm assuming that's probably the order you'd put them into.
Is it though? I go 1, obviously 1.
Yeah.
I think I like this better than 2.
Oh, okay.
Just because it's tough. 2 was pretty good. I mean, 1 was like a home run of a fucking movie. It was amazing.
Yeah.
2, I didn't love. I really didn't. And this one, and maybe recency bias. I want to say like I didn't love 2. There was great parts in 2, obviously, but I don't know. I'd have to watch them both again, and I watched fucking 2 yesterday, and I watched 3 at 4:00. So, it's pretty close in proximity, but I'd have to examine them further. I think you've talked me down. You've been so negative in this episode, Joe. I don't know. It would be tough for me, gun to my head, to pick one over the other. Two had its moments. For me, the Psych franchise jumped the shark in the middle of the 2 movie.
Yeah. But for me, the 2 movie, at least the story felt a little more fleshed out. It felt more complete. It didn't feel as forced. Plus, it had way more Woody.
It did.
Like, Woody was absolutely true. I said this last episode. I said, going forward, any episode of Woody, he's probably going to be my favorite character, because he just steals the goddamn show. But like, again, I know I was harping on the things that I didn't like about this movie, but like all the ancillary stuff around it, like, was really hilarious. Like, I chuckled a lot. And so, if I'm going to give this movie, a pineapple score, I mean, 6.5, 6.8, somewhere in that range. I'm going to give it. It's like, it's not a 7, but it's like, it's very close. And like, to me, like, it just missed the mark. They could have either tightened it up or executed it just a little bit better, and then I probably would have given it like 7 or a bit higher.
So for me, all of my content, anything, I judge on how long did it feel.
Yeah.
As opposed to how long that it was. And
Right.
for the first time, I think ever, I paused this movie. I looked at how much time was left, and I was like, oh, really?
I checked my phone a few times for sure.
Oh, 100%. But sometimes I'll pause it to see, like, oh, this feels like it's whipping by. And it is.
Yeah.
It's like almost done. I paused this, and there was probably like 40 minutes left. And I was like, it's only a 90-minute movie. So I was like, not the best sign. So I'd give it like a 6.5. And
I think that's a good score. 6.5. Like, that was my gut. You know what I mean? I think that's probably where this movie lands.
And I'm of the mind, like, I don't care if they stink. I just want to see these people. And at this point, I'm happy they didn't keep going with the series.
Yes.
I feel like the series is its own thing, and the movie is a nice capper. And then all of the other ones, I just consider like an actor's party, like a fucking cast party that we get to watch.
Yeah. Like, Psych was one of the rare shows that ended when it should have, and it didn't. It overextended.
And the finale was, one day we'll get to it. It was as true to any episode of Psych that there's ever been.
Yeah, and it was a perfect encapsulation of what the show was, and it was a fitting end, and it just came together perfectly, and it led brilliantly into the first Psych movie. And then I think you're right. What we're going to get from here on out is going to just be
so to me
good.
Yeah. It didn't do
any good content.
Yeah, it didn't do any disservice. Like, sometimes shows and movies will do disservices to the characters. This is almost an homage to the characters. Like,
100%.
It's jumped the shark, but like, it's like not doing anything like ridiculous. Like, they're still doing the things that they always do. But certain shows, like when fucking Scrubs went to the college season or whatever the hell it was, and like they get super outlandish, and the characters aren't even like a reasonable facsimile, like Friends in like the last 3 seasons. This, to me, even with these movies, is still hitting what it should hit. It's now just like, it's a little bit longer. It's a little bit more takey. They're just like, they're playing to the crowd. They're, like you said, the perfect thing you said is, hello, Cleveland.
Yeah.
They're just going right at you, and more importantly, they're just going right for themselves.
Yeah, and they're not taking themselves too seriously, which has always been great about the show. And I think I just have to adjust my expectations for when the next one comes out, and doing that, I'll probably appreciate it a hell of a lot more. And I'll probably appreciate
the bar so high.
Well, yeah, and I'll probably appreciate this one a little bit more as time goes on, because I did just watch 1 and 2, like, went bang, bang, bang. And so, like, my expectation for this was like Psych 1, and maybe that's not fair, right? And so now, knowing what this movie is, right, if I go back and rewatch it a couple months from now or whatever, and I'm a little bit further away from watching the first movie, and sort of know what's going on, I'll probably enjoy it a bit more. but like setting that shifting that expectation for when the next Psych movie comes out, when we review it, probably this time next year, I'll probably, be a little higher on it.
Yeah, no doubt. And my only super negative about this movie, no Mary Lightly.
Oh shit! Yeah, I didn't even. I completely didn't pick up on that because he was in
Probably
the
tough
first
to
two.
work him in because in the first two they were like fever dreams.
Yep. Yep.
So no really
Oh,
hallucinogenic stuff going on in this one. Like the blue ice chips in the second one, that to me was the funniest thing.
I went boom booming. And he's just sitting there and he's like, all right, can someone change me now? I'm jumping down in my own filth. It's getting wildly uncomfortable.
And he's now like a serious fucking actor too. He went from McPoyle to uh, Mary Lightly to like he's in Westworld being like a fucking badass.
Yeah,
I love him. He's great.
he's got to be like best friends with Sean or someone on that
Yeah.
show because they've brought him back a ton. I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but yeah, I didn't pick up on that until just now, that he wasn't in it, which is a bit of a bummer because that would have been like the best, like the ultimate running gag is Mary
Jimmy
Lightly.
Simpson.
Yeah, right. Shoehorning into every Psych movie. So, come on, son.
Come on, son.
Come on, son. What do we got? Oh, we got a great come on, son. A couple of them in the movies. But
We
what
got
do
a
we have?
literal come on, son.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, come on, son. That's right. Oh man. So what do we have next week, Billy?
We have Lassie Did a Bad Thing, playing nicely off all of these movies, which are kind of, well, at least the last two for sure, are kind of based around a little bit the story of Lassie. So this is his first dabble into main character role of the episode, maybe.
Yeah.
He probably shared the lead in a few of them, but this is Lassie center stage, and it's a delight. I think we get some Kenny Loggins mentions as we talked about last week, so it'll be a fun rewatch.
We didn't even mention we got another Phil Collins reference.
Oh, and this? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Quickly, but we did.
Yeah, we did. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. That's going to be a hell of a one to talk about. So, Billy, where can the people find us?
They can find us really anywhere, but if you want to be specific with it, go to the hashtag DorkSharedGooniverse page. Check out all of the podcasts, Mac and Goo, which you guys were on, TLDR. The podcast that talks books. You did an X-Men draft with Mac and Goo. Dork, PCP, Change My Mind. They don't talk hockey equipment, even though they are CMM. I was on there recently, and I dominated their movie draft. And then Hot Guys on Hawkeyes. I believe they released an episode this week, and then Hawkeye, I think, comes out next week. Yep. Might even be this week, I forget, or this upcoming week. And then the streamers, you, Backcracker, Shime Time, and Arvon D. Did I miss anybody?
No, I think that's it, baby.
Wim Bam Boom.
Wim Bam Boom. So until next week, wait for it.
Frank says hi.